Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Against the Spread. Second round of these NFL playoffs are upon us. Very excited to get at you with these divisional picks. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Nicky Jr., alongside my two experts, my bashers, Ace Stacks. How we feeling this weekend?
What's going on, Tone? Great weekend again, of course. Saturday night football, Sunday football. It's the playoff round. We get to see those powerhouses now come in and see what they got against these opponents we got coming in. We got a good one. I'm excited about this Panthers game. I think it's going to be a great game. A lot of coaching changes too, you know, Ace?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying, it's a very exciting weekend with all these A-lister teams playing against each other. But I think that week in general was a pretty strong week and very entertaining with all of these new coaching hires. Almost every single team looking for it actually found a new coach.
Yeah, actually really a fun time of the year, even for those teams not in the playoff hunts. A couple of those big-name coaches have officially landed. Chip Kelly lands in San Francisco. Of course, Tom Coughlin, the big news, out on that Eagles job, looking like Doug Peterson, a.k.a. Andy Reid 2.0, going to come in for the Philadelphia Eagles. Hugh Jackson, he lands in Cleveland. A lot of good spots here, Ace. A lot of guys with some high expectations.
Yeah, definitely. I really like San Fran's hire. Now, I don't necessarily think it will result in wins necessarily, just because I don't like Jed York and I don't like Balky either. I don't like the guys that are actually going to be picking the players and building the team, but I think Chip Kelly, they needed to go out and get a big name after Jim Tom Sula was such a disappointment.
Yeah, that's a great point, Stacks. You know, Ace makes a point of that. Does Chip Kelly really give this personnel control over to this general manager? Is this going to be Chip Kelly's show all over again? Same thing as in Philly.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing. It can't get any worse than it was in Philly. You know, he lost everybody. The players weren't playing for him. The fans wanted him gone. I think he's going to feel a lot more comfortable here. Maybe kind of get to open up and do exactly what he had planned on doing in Philly. Like, you know, they cut him a little early, in my opinion. So, you know, we'll let him settle in there and kind of see what he can work out.
Yeah, 2 straight 10-6 finishes. But really, you got to start to ask, at what point is it too much as far as players really quitting on this guy? Jason Peters saying he plays for the owner, doesn't play for the head coach. A lot of things. When Boykin left, I found it very interesting when he says a line like, you walk past Chip Kelly in the hallway, you don't even acknowledge one another. It's kind of a military status, and I love that in college football. I think it works at an Oregon. I question whether or not this can work for Chip Kelly in the NFL. I think when you start dealing with players that are making more than you, this is now a career. This isn't your college kids trying to build and get to the NFL. Now, these are the guys that have already made it. Now, I start to question when you don't treat these guys with respect. I think sometimes it backfires. DeMarco Murray had comments for Jeffrey Lurie, of course, on that plane ride home. I start to question, really, if Chip Kelly is the NFL guy. Either way, it's an interesting move for San Francisco. Another hire, Ace Hugh Jackson, leaves Cincinnati after really reviving Andy Dalton, making him an elite quarterback this season. He heads to Cleveland.
Yeah, absolutely. And he really deserves it after the way he performed in Cincinnati. I just look at the situation in Cleveland and think it's the exact same situation he walked into in Oakland. It gives you no chance to succeed, and I really don't think that in the long run he does succeed.
Yeah, and I say this, Stacks, one of the guys that was kind of a believer in Hugh Jackson in this offseason, I know you were saying he has the number 2 pick, got some good quarterbacks, got the Cal kid Golf, a lot of size there. They say Hugh Jackson's going to move away from that Johnny Manziel experiment.
You know, from what we've seen from Johnny Manziel so far, you have to think that's the right move. And you know, Hugh Jackson's a smart guy. He'll give guys a shot. If he doesn't like what he's got going on, he'll get him out of there, get something new in, and try and find the system fit. Kind of like what he did in Oakland, like you said, not much to work with there. I think he's got a little bit more to work with here with this upcoming Cleveland squad. A lot of talent there. Coming their way. It's going to be a good season.
Yeah, a little bit more on the quiet front. Tampa Bay looking like they're going to bring in their offensive coordinator. No real surprise there. It's a lot of rumors why Lovie Smith was kicked out the door there. Ben McAdoo gets the job in New York. He takes over for Coughlin. Comes in after 2 great years with Eli Manning. Really cut down on the interception mark there. He gets a chance to run that show. And then in Philly, it's looking like it could be Doug Peterson. I mean, Ace, really, signs start to point to that now that Tom Coughlin's kind of slipped through the cracks.
Yeah, absolutely, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, they're looking for not only a player's coach, which Doug Peterson is, but they're also trying to get back what they let go in Andy Reid. And Doug Peterson has worked not only under Andy Reid during his career, but also during his coaching career. And I think that you're going to get a very similar style in Doug Peterson as you would in Andy Reid.
Yeah, and I think the big X factor in this Philly gig, let's call it what it is, folks. Got to get along with Laurie. You got to get along with Howie Roseman. I think Howie Roseman is the X factor in this whole entire thing. 40-year-old general manager. Didn't get along with Chip Kelly. You bring in a guy like Peterson, a guy who's worked with him before, worked with him under Reed. I think Peterson has respect for Howie Roseman. I think that's a big issue why the Eagles couldn't make that splash. Nick Saban doesn't want to work with a guy like Roseman. Coughlin don't want to work with a guy like Roseman. So you got to go with a young guy, an up-and-coming guy. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But either way, Eagles, Andy Reid 2.0 looking like it's just around the corner in Doug Peterson. Before all that, though, Stacks, we got a great NFL weekend. Starting things off on Saturday afternoon, New England Patriots. They're laying 5 points with the Chiefs coming in. Tom Brady and company, baby.
Tom Brady, he's had his rest. The whole team's rested. You know they're fired up, raring to go. They've been here more times than I can count. Tom Brady ready to go. He's been playing absolutely lights out. He's got the guys around him. He's made do with the guys that he's got around him. And I think they face a team that kind of overachieved this season in the Kansas City Chiefs. You have to respect their winning streak, but at the same time, this is Tom Brady we're talking, going up against Alex Smith. I just think from an offensive standpoint, with Macklin even questionable, they're going to struggle keeping up point-wise with this New England Patriots team.
Yeah, let's call it what it is. Ace, it's kind of funny. You look back, last time these two teams matched up, I don't know if you folks remember, it was that Monday night slaughter in Kansas City, 41-14. Everybody was saying, that's the end of Tom Brady. Jimmy Garoppolo is at times. Since then, in comes Tom Brady. Looks like he's back. I can't help but see a punishing Saturday afternoon for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. I see that same punishing happening for these Patriots against these Chiefs. And one of the big reasons, like you said, Tom Brady. Not only is he possibly the best quarterback ever to play the game of football, but right now in the game, he's who I want if we're in a playoff game. And you look at his numbers with Julian Edelman on the field, and he will be on the field this weekend. Brady's completion percentage jumps from 59 to 69 while he had Edelman on the field this season. By the way, he's only thrown 2 interceptions while Edelman's been playing, and on the flip side, he's thrown 5 interceptions when he has not been playing. Edelman's a guy who makes Brady feel much more comfortable out there, and at the end of the day, is really going to boost what Brady does this Saturday.
Yeah, when I see the public split on this game, I just love the value there. Laying 5 points. It's a New England team that has dominated numerous times in the past in the playoffs. I get a Kansas City squad that has been known to choke come playoff time. Andy Reid, love the guy as a coach still. 11-10 overall as a head coach in the playoffs. Here's a guy, his only Super Bowl ring came when he was coaching Brett Favre as a quarterback's coach. Hasn't ever won it at the big time. Bill Belichick, on the other hand, has a different scheme for anybody that he plays. I think he's going to be ready for Andy Reid this weekend. I think he's had Andy Reid's number in the past. I think he does it again on Sunday. You got to go with Tom Brady here in this playoff spot. You know they're going to the championship game. Lay the 5 points here. Love that the public split on this one. New England kind of dominates in this one. 31-20 final. For as easy of a pick as we think that one is, I don't think it gets much harder in the nightcap this weekend, folks. Arizona at home. They're laying the 7 points with the Packers coming in. I think this is a tale of one team that's way too good for the other team. Public's still a big fan of this Green Bay Packers squad. They love Aaron Rodgers and company, but when it comes down to it, Stacks, not the offensive line there to protect him. He hasn't had a running game all season. Didn't have Jordy Nelson. Now all of a sudden, Devontae Adams doesn't look like he's playing.
Yeah, this is a team riddled with injuries, as they like to say. Aaron Rodgers, he can only do so much. He can only save them so many times. And I think against a team the caliber of these Arizona Cardinals, they're going to have some serious problems, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I think Carson Palmer and this receiving corps is going to absolutely torch this Green Bay team at home like they did earlier in the season. I just think this is the obvious play here. You have to roll with these Cardinals here. Just looks like a much better team and healthier team.
Yeah, 3 short weeks ago, Ace, that was when Arizona was dominating 38-8. I don't know if it gets that ugly, but I expect this defense to step on the gas pedal a little bit again.
I agree with you. I don't think it gets that ugly this weekend, but I really do think that the Cardinals just have a stranglehold of this game the entire time. And I really think the X factor is going to be running back David Johnson for them. Now, when you look at David Johnson, he's a fine running back. Maybe he wasn't the starter earlier this year, but I think he really is a solid running back. But when you look at the defense he's going up against in these Green Bay Packers defense, they are the worst rushing defense this year in the league. They're the only team giving up over 4 yards per per carry, and they've also given up 12 rushing touchdowns so far this season. Guess what? 9 of them are against the playoff teams. I think he gets maybe 2 touchdowns, and I really think that the Cardinals have too many weapons for the Packers to be able to focus in on him. I think that the Cardinals just dominate this whole game.
Yeah, this is a Green Bay team that I just don't think they are what they were in years past. They've always struggled on defense, but now you don't have that high-flying offense to really make up for all those problems. This is an Arizona team, folks, that don't forget how great they were all year. Really going before that Week 17 game where they got beat up, they got embarrassed at home against Seattle by 30. Really, this Arizona team was a squad a lot of people liked for the favorite to win the whole thing. You got Carson Palmer playing at that elite level. Bruce Arians, one of those really top head coaches in the entire NFL. People love him. They rave about him, his offensive mind, how he handles the players. This is a really tough Arizona team. Top 5 defense in the NFL. Now they take on a Green Bay team that, like Stack said, 2 injury prone. This is a team that doesn't have the weapons like they're used to having for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's a big problem against the Cardinals team that can really put up some points and really slow down an opposing offense. You've got to love Arizona. Take Arizona here, lay the 7 points. That extra week to prepare will only help them, folks. Helps them get a little bit healthier while Green Bay had a war on the road in Washington last week. That's the end of Mike McCarthy. This team, it was the pretty sleeper pick. People liked Green Bay all season. It ends Saturday evening as the Packers get beat in this one by a final of 31-10. One of my favorite games on this Sunday card is got to be that Carolina and Seattle game. I think this might be your lock of the weekend, folks, and it isn't on those 2-time defending NFC champions. We're going the other way. Carolina Panthers lay the point here. Cam Newton and company getting no respect. This is a 15-1 team who has played great under the head coach Juan Rivera. This is a squad. McDermott really has turned that defense around. This is a top 5 defense in the NFL, just like Arizona. Seattle, another good defense, but here's a team I think that their luck is finally about to run out. Last week should have been the end of them, folks. Blair Walsh misses from 27 yards. I don't believe it. I won't believe it, but folks, that one of those crazy plays in NFL history. They should have been dead last week. This is a spot where I think they run into a buzzsaw with Cam Newton. That running attack is so powerful in Carolina. That is a tough team to stop, and that just opens up the seams for guys like Ted Ginn, for guys like Greg Olsen. Not the biggest names by any means, Ace, but this is a team that can really play well when they're clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, I love how you brought up Greg Olsen because I really think he's going to be an X factor this weekend. When you look at what he did in Week 6 against this same Seahawks team, he had 7 catches, 11 targets, 131 yards, and a touchdown. Guess what? He had a second touchdown robbed from him when he got tackled on the 1-yard line. I think that he gets another touchdown this weekend. Heck, maybe he even gets that second touchdown. I really like him as an X factor down the seam for Cam Newton to really rely on to carve up this defense, who, by the way, has gotten killed by tight ends all season.
Yeah, and I got to say, Stacks, that was really a tougher spot earlier on in the year. Carolina went into Seattle. Everybody said Seattle needed to win. Carolina was undefeated. Carolina pulls out a 27-23 victory. Now, Seattle coming off of a war in frigid Minnesota has to go into Carolina. I don't see it.
I don't see it at all. Like you said, they should have been X'd last week. Missed field goal, horrible. There's no excuses. This team is not playing the way that they've played in years past. This is not your championship. This is not your Super Bowl champion Seahawks. Just a different vibe from that team. You know, you see Russell Wilson, a lot of broken plays, the offensive line not holding up as much. He's gotten lucky, really, if you think about it. He has gotten lucky. Meanwhile, over in Carolina, almost a perfect season. They played great. Cam Newton's dabbing away. The team is off the Richter. They're my number 1 pick for the Super Bowl champions. I think they're going to get all the way there and actually win it at the end. And I don't think this Seattle team is the team that's going to even give them a shot at stopping.
Yeah, Cam Newton's certainly elite. I think you do get some pride into that Seattle team. I don't see this turning into a rout, but when all is said and done, too much talent for Carolina to blow this game to not get into the NFC Championship spot. Seattle, like I said, defense with pride, man. You got big names on there. You got teams that have gone to the Super Bowl the last 2 years, but the luck has run out. Like Stack said, running game's not where it was in the past. Talk about a swing and a miss, that Jimmy Graham trade. Complete swing and a miss for Seattle. They don't have that number 1 receiver still for Russell Wilson, and they are begging now without Marshawn Lynch. Hasn't played in weeks. Now you expect, can he come back and actually be an X factor this weekend? Not even guaranteed if he's playing or not. But I'm just saying, this is a tough spot for Seattle. Again, should have been knocked out by Blair Walsh and company. Not that that matters in this week, but still, Carolina had an extra week to prepare. The defense had extra time to watch the film. You cannot undervalue how important it is to get that extra week off in the NFL. These guys are banged up, beaten up after 17 weeks of the regular season. Then they get that week off when Seattle was in Minnesota, negative 10-degree wind chill, and had to survive an absolute war. Take Carolina here. Seattle does not have 2 survival games on the road in this playoffs. They ultimately get us a 20-14 victory, head to the NFC Championship game, which through the first 3 leaves us at chalk. We take number 1 New England, we take number 2 Arizona, take number 1 Carolina. Going to get away from the chalk in that final one, that Sunday night contest, that sleeper pick. It's everybody's favorite sleeper team this year. I'm going to still ride with it. I know they've had some injuries, but Big Ben and company, Steelers, plus the 7 points. I love them here. Stacks. Too many times have I watched Peyton Manning blow it in the playoffs.
Too many times have we watched Peyton Manning blowing in the playoffs, and too many times have we seen Big Ben step up with an injury and do the damn thing. Get the job done. He's got the receiving talent. He's still got Marcus Wheaton. He's still got Martavius Bryant. He's got the running game that although very banged up, they've got the right guys to step in and do the job. I like the way the defense is playing. On the other hand, Peyton Manning just hasn't looked the same all season. He's coming off the injury. How healthy is Peyton Manning? He's no Big Ben. He's not the guy that can go out there injured, be a little bit mobile, avoid sacks, and get away from pressure and get the job done. I think we see Peyton Manning pretty much lose them the game here, like we've seen in years past from Peyton Manning.
Yeah, you just can't help but take the 7 here, Ace. This is a Steelers team that I've watched make that run before from the 6th seed. Hell, they went into Indy when Peyton Manning was that one-loss team, took them out in Jerome Bettis' final year. No, that's a lifetime ago, but if anything, Peyton Manning's kind of over the hill, and I think the Steelers just get better as time passes.
Yeah, there is tremendous value on the Pittsburgh Steelers this weekend, and it's all because of this Big Ben injury. And I am not downplaying it any. It is a scary thing to put your money behind. But I think that even if he needs to take those pain pills, take those injections, he will get out there, and even if he can only sling it 15, 20 yards at a time, that's still better than Landry Jones 15, 20 yards. But I really like them because the narrative this whole week was that Big Ben will not be able to play up to his caliber. Well, guess what? If he wasn't injured, the same storyline would be for the Denver Broncos and Peyton Manning. Everybody would be questioning Peyton this week, and I really think that it should be Peyton Manning getting questioned. He's been injured all year, and I really don't think that coming back after, a month, maybe 2 off, he's going to be primed and ready to go. I know he's going to be studying the Steelers a lot. I think somehow the Steelers squeak by and get themselves to the AFC Championship.
Yeah, a lot of young talent on this defense especially for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Future Pro Bowlers all in the middle of that linebacking core. Really like what the Steelers are doing there. And that offense, you can't help but like what they do. Even with Big Ben hurt, I do trust in the running game. D'Angelo Williams should be back at least for some of the carries. And like I told you last week, don't look past Fitzgerald Toussaint. Ended up having a nice game. Here's a guy that can get you big chunks of yards. I mean, you saw it last week. Good out of the backfield. It's a solid pairing. And you have Todman also, who's a nice little quick back to pair with Toussaint. Steelers by no means are out of this thing. Peyton Manning and the Broncos still don't love them, guys. This looks to me like the same spot as last season. Remember when Andrew Luck and Indy were heading to Denver, +7 in the divisional round. This is the exact same game, folks. Indy outrighted them last year. I expect Pittsburgh to do the same thing this season. Last year, Manning was having a huge season too, folks. And I'll say this. You know, I don't want to speculate or anything like that, but here's a guy that had a major neck surgery, came off that surgery, had a career year. All of a sudden, his name pops up in steroid allegations. Now he's having the worst year of his NFL career. I don't want to say anything, but to me, I question that. A 39, 40-year-old quarterback. Now, maybe, was it steroids, was it not? I'm not sure. Either way, I don't like him against this Mike Tomlin-led Steelers team. Ultimately, you're in a great spot there with these Pittsburgh Steelers. Take the 7 points here, folks. They get you an outright victory, 24-23 final. They are the surprise team in the AFC Championship game. Other than that, we're going straight chalk. New England gets in, and then in the NFC side, we'll be in Carolina next weekend as the Arizona Cardinals will come in that matchup. For Aceberg and Joey Stacks, I'm Anthony Nicky Jr. saying have a great rest of your week. We will see you here next time at Against the Spread at BookieBashingATS.com.